Enter the Long Box of the Damned bumper contest, if you dare.
Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Patreon-sponsored review time again, and let's briefly talk about Assistant Editors Month. So I actually talked about this way back in 2014, which was 12 years ago at the time of this video's release, so it may as well have been 30 with how time works nowadays, space-warped, time-bendable, etc. In Comic Book Quickies number 3, but let's give a refresher. In 1984, Marvel had a cute little branding thing going on across their titles. I called it an event at the time, which is what it's so often referred to as, but if I refer to it as such, I do so only in the sense of it being a unique occurrence, not as a big crossover thing. The idea of Assistant Editors Month was that all the normal Marvel editors had gone off to San Diego Comic-Con, so the assistant editors were now in charge of the books and dictated what would happen in them. Hijinks ensues. The thing is that for most books, nothing really happened. Like, they'd have a goofier cover, they'd reference DC's old cover style, maybe they'd include a one-page backup story that was doing something silly. It was rare for there to be any books with actual silly content, like the thing I briefly looked at for that Comic Book Quickies. Aunt May becoming the Herald of Galactus and teaming up with Franklin Richards to feed all the Twinkies on Earth to him. I see we found the plot of the next MCU Fantastic Four movie. Another book is one that I've hinted at before, Avengers number 239, where the Avengers appear on David Letterman. It's gonna be reviewed one of these days, and I'm sure it will be a massive disappointment when we finally get to it. The point is, it was mostly there for jokes and gags. I don't know if it particularly improved sales or anything, but it must not have been a popular enough thing to do, because there was never another Assistant Editors Month again. With an exception, the book we're here to talk about today. It's a 2-issue anthology miniseries from 2009 featuring a bunch of stories proposed by the Marvel Assistant Editors. The book is actually kind of significant, and we'll get into why later on. So let's dig into Marvel Assistant-Sized Spectacular number 1 and number 2 and go over it.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. What's with these awkward subjects? What's all this art so rubbish? To anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he is a man who punch, sporadically a grouch. Linkara, he has his own spaceship, but he's always on his couch. Linkara, ghosts, gods, a universe in flux. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
The two covers are fine and actually are meant to combine together, featuring 6 characters standing in front of Spider-Man and Wolverine posters. It's nothing that spectacular, but it features the 6 characters who will be headlining the anthology. Not impressive, but not terrible. We open in our framing device, in the Marvel offices themselves. Joe Quesada, wearing a tiny crown, declares the end of a pitch meeting and tells all the assistant editors to leave while they have lunch. End of pitch meeting! We are geniuses! No one is better than we! See, I know this is supposed to be a goofy, over-the-top, unserious depiction of Joe Quesada, but then you remember that he's responsible for one more day and letting Sin's past get worse. Also, we've got a weird meta thing going on, since apparently the Marvel Comics office takes place in the Marvel Universe, since Thor is fighting a dragon outside, Spider-Man is just crawling on a wall, Howard the Duck is about to step on some pizza being carried by ants directed by Ant-Man, and apparently the floor is dirt because the Mole Man is popping up out of it. Well, either that, or the Mole Man has actually been a regional variant of the Pokemon Diglett. I should note that technically Marvel does exist within the Marvel Universe. Putting aside the occasional creator cameo, they actually made a series of comics once that were, what do comics of, say, Spider-Man look like within the Marvel Universe itself? Where they have different origin stories and explanations for those with secret identities and whatnot. In any case, the editors, led by Lauren Senkovich here, walk out annoyed. Man, these meetings should be called vacuums because they suck dirt. We're killing off how many characters in Ultimatum? The assistants head into their meeting room. The men's bathroom. Ugh, every pitch meeting is the same. The editors decide everything and no one listens to our great story ideas. Wouldn't it be better if writers decided what was going on in the books?
Kill the heathen!
Yeah, if people listened to us, Marvel's comics would be infinitely better. Someday they'll all regret never accepting my proposed sequel to Marvel. Lauren suggests they have their own pitch meeting. We each take a turn pitching a new story idea, and we get to decide if they should be published. What do you say? So, fanfic pitch meeting. I mean, I'm just saying, if you don't actually have the power to publish this stuff, you're just proposing fanfics and fan comics. Not that there's anything wrong with doing so, just that, well, that's what it is if you don't have the authority to make it officially published. The others are not convinced. And Jordan White is apparently off his rocker because he's just spending time doing partial cosplays of Marvel characters, having apparently carried like 3 different sets of different character gloves into the bathroom with them, and is just repeating various catchphrases. Which I feel explains way too much about Marvel some days if that's an accurate portrayal. Alejandro Arbona, who keeps being depicted as so tall that he's past the panel borders, and sometimes the ceiling, has an idea, focused on D-Man, aka Demolition Man, aka Dennis Dunphy. Long story there, but he's a lesser-known character who was often the butt of jokes, particularly because his costume was a combination of Daredevil's original and a Wolverine mask. Still, his whole deal was trying to be enthusiastically helpful, and he has some serious storylines over the years, hence why Lauren is not too interested at first about hearing a story about him, but that brings us to the first proper story of the anthology, D-Man, Slum City Warriors, which begins with D-Man serving with the army in Iraq. He's in the barracks with 4 other soldiers and, well, I'm not exactly sure what to say about the proportions of these guys. It's clearly a stylistic choice by the artist, Xerxo G. Penalta, given he's done other works where people have normal proportions, and it's not one I would have made, but sure. Let's go with the very stout, long-armed, and short-legged men of the unit. Anyway, D-Man admits to the rest that he's a recovering superhero. I used to work for Captain America. Let's just say I screwed it up. God, you jokingly sing "Oh Canada" just once on the 4th of July, and that guy takes it personally. They say that given what they saw him do earlier, he's clearly still at the superhero thing. Specifically, we get a flashback to the Jeep he was on the road getting blown up, but his enhanced strength allowed him to survive and crawl out of the thing unharmed, saving the others. Wait, you're D-Man! I saw you on the internet! I love your ASMR videos! Guys, Dunphy was like this huge hero for the homeless. Demolition Man! And if there's anything the homeless need, it's demolition! So, what's your power, Dunphy? You got, what, super strength? Yeah. Super strength, fine. We got our own Avenger. So how come he pretends to be a grunt? The problem is, if word gets around that Demolition Man is part of the team, everybody keeps running up wondering where Sylvester Stallone is. The guy doesn't like the idea of Dunphy using the war as his personal therapy session, but the others tell him to lay off. They've all got their own reasons for being there. That being said, they're frustrated that they're sealed off on base, then just get routinely attacked and blown up when driving around. They want to actually help people, and they think Dunphy can help them do that. As such, he starts training them, and they create some makeshift superhero outfits to hide their identities. Obviously not full spandex, but converting gear they already have into some decoration. Though Dunphy does wonder if he's doing the right thing. Hey Cap, I wonder if you can hear me. These are good kids, you know? I want you to know I'll look after them, like you looked after me. I'll train them to use their willpower to reassemble shields just like you taught me. The 4 of them move in and take out an insurgent base, tying them all up to be captured before the army could move in themselves, waiting for additional intel. They do so over a few weeks, people on the base talking about it and speculating about who's doing this. But his superior officer is more direct. He heavily implies that he knows that D-Man is doing this with others, and he wants it to stop. A few days ago, they ruined a 3-month-long sting operation and put the nephew of the new Speaker of the Council in the hospital. Okay, fair enough about the sting, but like, if he was with the guys they brought down, doesn't that mean the nephew was still an insurgent anyway, and you were still gonna take him down? Hell, this being a war thing, wouldn't he have been dead instead of in the hospital? Still, he warns him that if he finds out he's involved, him and everyone involved with him will be court-martialed or detained, which to me sounds like something really illegal, especially when it's in quotations like that, and suggests you're not good guys either. But yeah, he tells the others that it's over and that he can't help how they think of him, but he needs it to stop. We don't see him explain why, just that while he had to save their necks, being a superhero was kind of in his blood, so we see him sneak off to still be D-Man at night. Also, he now has a branded Ushanka hat. Anyway, the assistant editors are impressed with the story, and it's Lauren's turn for a pitch. Our story is about American Eagle. American Eagle? Yes, damn it, and how he'll team up with Urban Outfitters, Forever 21, and, just for spice, Payless Shoes. Oh god, is that how we got AAU Superstar? American Eagle, aka Jason Strongbow, is a Navajo superhero who at one point wore this costume. 1980s casual racism. In any event, he had then appeared in the pages of Thunderbolts during the Civil War in a far less embarrassing outfit, though ironically with the name American Eagle, he was actually exempt from the act because he was a member of the Navajo Nation. And thus it makes sense that they'd see about pushing him in a story like this. American Eagle in Just a Little Old-Fashioned Justice, and a little old-fashioned snake villain. We open with Jason making a person walk in the Arizona desert and then tosses a shovel to them. What the hell's that for? For digging. Get to it. 4 feet wide and 6 feet deep. That sounds like a grave. We having a funeral? Nah, I've just got a weird variation of the polar bear challenge I want to try. We cut to 4 hours earlier, where 2 cops are looking over some dead dogs, lamenting that a particular criminal has done this to them. They're soon met by the Desert Stars, the initiative superhero team for Arizona. They want to know whether or not already going after him, since they've chased this criminal from Phoenix. However, the cops inform them that they're officially in the Navajo Nation now, so they refer to Jason Strongbow for weirdness like this. Fortunately, he just happens to be posing on his motorcycle nearby. They explain to him that a guy robbed a bank in Phoenix and the Desert Stars chased him out here, where he kidnapped a little girl, then ran further into the desert. The Desert Stars want to go with him, pointing out he's dangerous and that he's a supervillain who has gone up against Captain America before. However, he points out they have no jurisdiction here and that they should presume he's dead if he's not back by nightfall. And tell Tony Stark he can kiss my ass. Wait, before you do that, see if you can get some gas money off of him. I was just standing there because my bike ran out of gas. I mean, just saying, he doesn't take the bike out into the desert with him. But indeed, soon he finds the supervillain, Cottonmouth, who's threatening to kill the girl if he's not given a helicopter and whatever cash they can scrape together. Strongbow refuses. Here's what's gonna happen instead. I'm gonna take my fist and punch you in your big, stupid mouth.
No, you got a lot of mouth, and I got a lot of fists for your mouth.
Knowing the girl, he instructs her to hit Cottonmouth in the junk, allowing her to escape and for Strongbow to repeatedly punch him before saying he's under arrest. Cottonmouth balks at this, saying he'll be able to escape whatever crappy jail they have, but instead he points out they're gonna do something else. Cut back to the present, and it turns out the graves he's digging are for the dogs he killed, and he plans to have him do more jobs like that. That mouth of yours works great for biting bank guards and threatening little girls. We'll see how it does at cutting fence posts. After that, well, you ever read the Stephen King story Lawnmower Man? Editor Tom Brennan, who for some reason is being drawn so that he barely has any inking lines and the others don't even realize he's there until he speaks up, says the story was great, but it's not his time for a story. Instead, it's Nathan Cosby, who has a story idea for Mini Marvels, a fact that everyone guesses right away and is annoyed by. Mini Marvels is a series of all-ages comic strip parodies with the heroes as children, or at least as chibis. And thus we have the third story and the final part of part 1, Hawkeye and the Curse of the Crimson Crown. Hawkeye and the allegorical adversary of alliteration. Hawkeye wakes up and goes downstairs in the Avengers' house, confused where everyone else is until he finds a note from Iron Man. Hawkeye, we went with archaeologist Jackson to find the Crimson Crown. We didn't bother waking you up because you have no powers and are useless to us. Despite being a child, Hawkeye, like Jason Strongbow, also says that Tony Stark can kiss his ass. You are only an Avenger because Captain America thinks it will keep you from being a bad guy or something. None of us had the heart to tell him that logically, if Hawkeye's lack of powers made him useless to us as a hero, he probably wouldn't be a threat as a supervillain. Doctor Strange teleports in, saying he's looking for Iron Man. Hawkeye shows him the note, and he's horrified, saying that he was counting on Iron Man's help to save the Avengers from the Crimson King, an ancient evil spirit who wears the Crimson Crown the others were looking for. The King was banished to another dimension, the crown being able to turn anyone who wears it into him. Doctor Strange had a vision of someone finding the crown and putting it on. In turn, the vision showed the Avengers captured by the Crimson King, save for Iron Man. And Hawkeye, as he points out. However, Doctor Strange, like apparently everyone else here, is a dick and says that doesn't count because he doesn't have powers. I mean, technically speaking, Iron Man doesn't have any powers either. Oh, but he's really smart and rich. Yeah, that's not really a power. That's just being a nepo baby with a good attention span in class. I kid, but seriously, Doctor Strange feels like he has no other choice and brings Hawkman along. They take a Quinjet since the Crimson King can detect sorcery. Is that a fake mustache or did you use a magic spell to grow a real one? Look, there's really nothing wrong with drawing on facial hair, save for one flaw in it.
I ran out of Sharpie!
Unfortunately, the Quinjet breaks apart as it gets closer to the island the Crimson King is inhabiting, forcing Hawkeye to release a parachute arrow to save himself since Doctor Strange can just fly. Unfortunately, a giant bird flies by and snaps the rope. Still, Hawkeye's fall is broken by a tree, which should probably still break his back, though it does break his stomach as he throws up. Turns out Iron Man is nearby, who recounts that they accompanied Archaeology Jackson, and no, this is not some pre-established character from what I can tell, and they found the Crimson Crown. And Iron Man put it on his head. He became the Crimson King, and he uses his magic to neutralize all their powers and disable his suit. His servants only didn't bring Iron Man because he was too heavy. He's locked into the armor, so he can't help, so Doctor Strange and Hawkeye proceed without him. We then get a weird bit where Doctor Strange is confused about why Hawkeye threw up when he hit the ground, despite all very sensible things Hawkeye tells him about why that would happen. After climbing up some castle walls, they locate the Avengers chained to a wall in the courtyard, the Crimson King nearby. Doctor Strange says he needs the element of surprise to fight such a powerful being. Quick, Hawkeye, go down there and explain why your vomiting made sense! I'm not too far off. Doctor Strange says he should go down there and get killed to distract them while he uses his most powerful magical incantations to defeat him. Instead, Hawkeye just shoots an arrow down to knock the crown off Archaeology Jackson's head, and he reverts to normal. Everyone's powers are restored, Iron Man rejoins them, and Hawkeye is left behind because nobody wants to acknowledge that he saved the day. Why do they even let him live with them if they're just going to be jerks about him? Before the next assistant editor can pitch an idea, actual editor Tom Brevoort comes in to poop, and they flee the bathroom, needing to go to the service elevator to not be disturbed. However, it turns out they're being watched by Doctor Doom.
Yes, tell me all your stories, and I will use them!
Doom requires inspiration for his fanfics. Somehow he will turn these into Omegaverse stories. That brings us to the second issue. After the recap, despite Tom Brennan ending the last issue starting off his tale, he has now decided to change to some goofy patriotic garb so he's no longer fading into the background. Also, at some point he grabbed a podium and brought that into the elevator. Anyway, his story is called Citizen Cage, Political Power Man. Sweet Christmas! Time to vote in favor of cabinet position appointments, even though I claim to hate everything they stand for. Ed Salazar, a former speechwriter for the mayor's office, is in a grocery store with Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and their baby daughter. Salazar is trying to convince Cage to run for borough president. The Beep, as it's called, which is apparently an advisory position for the mayor that helps influence them on what to do with the borough. Salazar describes it as the mayor of Brooklyn if Brooklyn had its own mayor. Salazar says that the current Beep is running unopposed, and he plans to push residents out to make way for gentrifying the area with a giant mall and a basketball arena. Luke does not give a crap. Politics ain't my thing. My thing is punching stuff. I don't know, man. There are a lot of people in politics who need to get punched, so this is killing two birds with one stone. After leaving the grocery store, Luke says he needs a sandwich, but discovers his favorite sandwich place is shutting down and being replaced by a Subway knockoff. Damn, I'd have run for that borough president thing if I could have stopped this. I like how a sandwich is what calls you to political action. I mean, if you've been following the news, a lot of sandwich ingredients will currently kill us or make us sick, so I can see why this can motivate one to change things. Jessica encourages him to run for borough president, but Luke thinks about how politically his name would be dragged through the mud. During the superhero Civil War, Luke Cage opposed the SHRA. He fought against the law. Isn't that what terrorists do? You mean the thing that was apparently so radically unpopular that it was very, very easy to repeal it off panel? But yeah, a little imaginary montage of him just, smashing a podium at a presidential debate or running off to fight Rhino. Speaking of, a supervillain calling himself Lone Shark shows up. Jessica wants to work with Luke on this, but he reminds her of the baby. Fine, but one of these days I get to stay and fight and you have to take the baby home. Feels like you guys need to alternate on this or it's not an equal partnership. Luke punches a guy and questions his villain name. What kind of name is Lone Shark? What are you, a Vegas bookie? No, Lone Shark, like I'm a loner. The one shark in a pond of little fish.
What sort of backwards fucking pageantry is that?
Luke also calls it dumb, then tosses the guy into a wall to knock him out. As the cops haul him away, Jeff Jeffers, the Beep, comes by and thanks Luke for his help, and then goes on TV to say that vigilante acts are what's costing taxpayers so much money. What's more, the building that Lone Shark was tossed into was a school, and he's declaring that the damage was too extensive to patch up, so they'll have to shut it down. Luke, having been a detective before, investigates along with Jessica and Salazar, seeing that the damage to the building was cosmetic only. However, the school is close to a subway line, thus if the place were shut down, it'd be a great location for that basketball arena. As such, they wonder if Jeffers set this whole thing up to get the school condemned. And yep, they break into Jeffers' campaign headquarters and find the evidence for just such a thing, which Luke exposes at a big public fundraiser. Lone Shark was, in fact, Jeffers' campaign coordinator and has admitted as much to the cops as well, so Jeffers is arrested. Salazar thinks this means Luke will be a great beep, but he once again refuses. "But I'm no politician. You are, though. You look like the corruptible type." But yeah, he encourages Salazar to run, that it's important for citizens to run for office when they can. Just not him. His skill is punching people. "I'm Luke Cage and I approve this message. And I could really go for a Cuban sandwich." Fox News proceeds to call Luke Cage un-American and a traitor for eating a Cuban sandwich and not a Murican one, like a gyro. The group likes the story and thinks that Jordan White should go next, whenever he's done singing the old Captain America song. And because he needs to cosplay every second, he quickly runs out and back in a Galactus outfit. We meet this woman, Gally as her social media calls her, at a cafe. "Just like you, I'm always hungry, always famished, always ravenous. Always. Jordan, this is like the 8th Vor story you've tried to pitch. Enough!" "And everywhere I go, I see food. Tons of food, literally. And I do mean literally.
Not figuratively.
Delicious food. Tempting food. Not like Hardee's at all. Food in almost infinite varieties. And yet somehow I just keep panicking and ordering off the kids' menu every time. But unlike you, I am not a slave to my appetites. I don't let the hunger's endless gnawing turn me into a selfish, greedy, unthinking glutton like you." Well, excuse me if I was just happy that KFC brought back popcorn chicken temporarily. Man, who knew Silent Hill Hunger had a sequel? Anyway, she goes to a hospital and explains that she cares where her food comes from, and that she doesn't want to eat people, valuing the lives of the people on Earth. In the isolation ward, 12 people are infected with a mutating pathogen, and she suddenly spawns a bunch of advanced tech to examine them. Her examination reveals that it's a virus from the Skrull during Secret Invasion. It was miraculously able to jump species, probably due to its ability to shapeshift like the Skrulls themselves. As such, she uses her tech to convert the pathogen into a light snack for her to consume, and thus revealing who she is. Galacta, the daughter of Galactus. This is her first appearance, and she's grown more prominent in recent years, to the point where she's one of the story characters of Marvel Rivals. And yet, at the time of this video's creation, she doesn't have a Wikipedia page. But yeah, that's who she's talking to, her father, about how different she is from him. She uses her abilities to feed off of non-native organisms, meaning stuff like the pathogen, or a group of creatures weaponized by the Kree to destabilize Earth's core over a few centuries. Needless to say, I was quite pleased that their bioweapons proved just as tasty as the Kree themselves. Kree equals yummy. Oh, it's so endearing how she thinks sentient beings are tasty. But yeah, she wants to help Earth against alien biopollution, despite the fact that she gets the appeal of wanting to eat Earth. However, she soon realizes that it grows harder for her to not want to eat everything, that something's wrong with her. Examining herself with her own equipment, she discovers that she has an extra-dimensional parasite inside of her. A tapeworm cosmic. It's enhancing her need to eat, thus she contacts her dad to ask for his help to end the story. After the other editors compliment Jordan on this story, we get to our final tale from Daniel Ketchum, Daddy's Little Girl, featuring Elsa Bloodstone. Can't remember if we've ever talked about Elsa Bloodstone here before, though the jackass ghoul over there has. So, quick sum up. She's a monster hunter and legacy character daughter of Ulysses Bloodstone, a monster hunter introduced in the 70s, gaining power from an odd meteorite fragment called the Bloodstone. However, it seems he was a crappy dad and forced Elsa into the business of monster hunting, abusing her and his other kids. As an adult, she hunts monsters using a fragment of the Bloodstone as well, but doesn't exactly have a high opinion of her dad. In any case, she recounts the origins of Ulysses, a caveman finding the Bloodstone and it making him immortal and becoming a monster hunter. And then he dies saving the world. Feels like immortal should come with an asterisk next to it in the marketing. Elsa is unconscious in Prague, expositing that a snake monster has been infecting people with its young, known as the Children of Gorum, and they're killing everyone after popping out of their host bodies. Unfortunately, Elsa got bit as well, so now one is growing inside her. But as I wait to be eaten from the inside out, lying here thinking of ways to travel back in time and kill my father, it happens. The Bloodstone kicks in. Turns out it was a method of time travel this whole time! Patricide, here I come! No, the unique properties of the Bloodstone cause it to purge the creature from her system, and she throws it up. Time to shoot things in the face. That will make me forget the horribleness. Either that or the booze will. In fact, probably best to try both at once. Extra strength brain bleach. She makes quick work of the Gorum, shooting so much she'd make the Punisher jealous while also flashing back to her dad as a parallel. But her narration makes it clear she's not like her dad. Unlike her father, she'd never bring a child into this world or force the monster hunting life on them. She plans to be the last Bloodstone. So I can't stop until all the monsters are dead. Or at least heavily in debt. Back with the editors, Dr. Doom reveals himself to be under the thumb of Joe Quesada. Oh, so that's why Doom wouldn't help Peter save Aunt May. Directives from on high. Quesada says that he's liked all their stories and will publish them while taking all the credit for them. The editors are actually happy that their stories will be made, and so our comic ends with them also suggesting that there will be an online fan poll to see which story deserves another chapter, which Joe says he'll do and will also take credit for. The assistant editor's proud of all this. I'd give credit to Joe Quesada for being willing to make fun of himself, but on the other hand, this comic is depicting the assistant editors as being happy that they won't get credit for it, and consequently not get paid for it like this is still acceptable. Anyway, these stories are fine. If you're curious, Galacta won the fan poll, which is a bit odd to me. It was fine, a kind of interesting concept for a cute character, but I didn't think it was that riveting an idea or anything. I mean, if I had to pick a favorite, I liked American Eagles most. Life as the superhero on a reservation, needing to also handle some politics with US authorities, kicking ass and riding around on a motorcycle, good stuff. Going through the rest one by one, D-Man's was okay, though a bit dated by being set in post-9/11 Iraq War, so that could have some unfortunate, not well-aged bits. But as a character, I thought D-Man was neat. I'm just not a fan of the art style. Mini Marvels is fine, but the primary joke was, Hawkeye sucks, except he doesn't, but everyone's gonna be a dick to him for no reason. And I just didn't find it that compelling or that funny. Plus, I feel like Mini Marvels didn't really need a push at the time. I'm pretty sure they had plenty of stuff going on for them, plus lots of alternate covers. Citizen Cage is definitely the one that I feel most could be expanded into a full comic issue, but that's mainly because Luke Cage has already supported books before without issue. And I don't really see a need for a second chapter when everything is wrapped up here. It's just a short Luke Cage story, and it accomplishes that. Galacta is a cool enough concept, just the story doesn't give us much to work with other than introducing her and also her ravenous hunger. That's it, a point repeated throughout the story's length. And finally, I like Elsa Bloodstone, but this wasn't that great a story. She throws up a monster and shoots some other monsters. That's all there is to it. I don't see more material helping this when there are better comics out there featuring the character. So yeah, overall good stuff, just nothing that was really captivating me beyond, yeah, this is pretty good. Next time, another Patreon-sponsored review. And it answers the question, could William Shatner make a Star Trek story that strokes his own ego even more than Star Trek V did? The answer is yes.
That comic book
I care about the suffering of every living thing in this world. Well, I try to in the abstract, at least. If I didn't, it'd be really awkward when I tried to bite them. Hello, my friends. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for notifications on new video releases. If you'd like to support future videos, you can check out my Patreon, buy merch from the store envy link in the description, or check out the t-shirts available from Fourth Wall. Thanks for watching.